Well, this week we are heading into the kitchen for 5 days of feasting, and today we highlight a show-stopping holiday appetizer. It is a baked cranberry brie that looks so fancy but secretly so easy to make. Jessica DeLuise breaks down how to make this app that's guaranteed to have people swooning before the main course even hits the table.
I'm Scripps News food and wellness contributor Jessica DeLuise, and today we are baking up these sweet and spicy brie bites. It's the perfect appetizer to wow your guests and start Thanksgiving dinner off with a bang. Our appetizer is the most important part of a holiday celebration. This one starts the party out strong. Sweet tart cranberries, spicy jalapeños, bold funky brie, all baked into a buttery puff pastry. This just might upstage Thanksgiving dinner. Grease the muffin tin with a high heat cooking oil. For this recipe, we're using a jalapeno, but if you want an option without the heat, swap in bell pepper. We'll get this finely minced. We'll pop this pepper into our saucepan with our cranberries, honey, orange juice, and orange zest. Careful not to get that white pith because that is a little bit bitter. I'm using pre-made pastry dough, and we'll cut this into little squares to fit in each one of these little muffin wells. The cranberry pepper mixture thickened up nicely, so we're gonna shut off the heat and just let it cool for a moment while we cut up our brie cheese. And we'll put a piece of brie in each one of these little puff pastry wells. It is in my nature to fill these up to the max, but you don't really want to do that because the puff pastry will expand and you don't want these to overflow. How gorgeous is that? It's cooled a little bit and it thickened up even more as it cooled down. So now we'll put a little bit into each one of these puff pastry wells. Start with a little, and you can always go back and add more. Now they go into the oven. We'll top each one with raw chopped walnuts and back into the oven. The funky brie, the sweet tart cranberries, the spicy jalapeno, and the nutty walnuts. This is gonna be the perfect bite.
That looks so good. Jessica DeLuise joins us now live. Jessica, all right, look, you make it seem so easy, but in real life, how long does it actually take to pull this together from start to finish? Because I'm putting it on my list.
Yeah, it's not TV magic. In real life, it really is easy. Good morning, Holly. These bites took me maybe 10, 15 minutes to prepare, and then they bake up so beautifully. Honestly, it's such a forgiving recipe because even if you mess up a little bit or it overflows, they look so perfect. And it really is the perfect appetizer to kick off the holiday next week.
I like it. And, you know, just when we think of a baked brie, we think of the whole baked brie. People usually wrap it with, you know, something, put jam on it, you know, like some kind of a crust on it. But these are individual. Is that something you would recommend if you're going to have a lot of people around, or maybe if you want people to mingle so they don't hover over the food, I guess?
Yeah, so they're not hovering over the food and you don't have a melty, goopy cheese all over your display table, right? This is such a perfect little finger food. So just pop it on your plate, or maybe you have a cocktail in one hand and a brie bite in the other. So I do like this variation because it's so easy to make and it's easy to serve as well.
So if somebody wanted to mix it up a bit, could you substitute other ingredients? Can you give us some examples?
Definitely. So I started making these, Holly, about 3 years ago, and they have been in such high demand since then. And I've really tried a bunch of different things. So you can, the key components you want here are something sweet, you want that funky brie, and you want something spicy. So think about maybe a piece of strawberry with some pepper jelly. I've even done this with frozen fruit, so blueberries, brie, and a little bit of serrano chili. So you can really get creative. And if you have kids at home, they're always looking for something to do with their little hands, right? They want to stay busy for the holidays. Have them fill each well and get creative and look at the colors and talk about nutrition maybe. So it's a good activity to do with them as well.
Let me ask you this. You know, we're focusing on the holidays because obviously we're coming into Thanksgiving and, you know, all the end of year holidays. But is this something that you could have on hand? You know, you mentioned kids. They come home from school, they're hungry, they need a snack to get, you know, could you do something like that, especially if you're making it a healthy version?
Sure, I don't see why not. Of course you can. This is great all year long. Think about all of the get-togethers, and even when you're attending somebody's get-together, you want something easy and transportable to bring that you don't have to keep on ice, right? You can keep this just in a cooler so it stays at room temp and bring it over. This is a really great option for that as well. So not only for hosting, but as a hostess gift. You want to help out those people when they're preparing such a beautiful spread for you.
Oh, that's a great idea. I book club this week. I think I'm going to try it. All right, let's switch gears a little bit because we've been sharing holiday holiday food safety tips every day this week. So can you walk us through the proper turkey internal temperature, exactly where we should be checking it, and really the best kind of thermometer to use? Because obviously nobody wants to go home with something, you know, like salmonella.
No, definitely we do not want that. Absolutely. So there are a few different rules of thumb here. Everyone has their own recommendation for how many minutes per pound of turkey should you be cooking. So I tend to err on the side of caution. About 15 minutes per pound is the recommendation that I like to go by at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's where I'm going to start when I start to anticipate how long my turkey will cook. I do want my internal temperature to be 165 degrees Fahrenheit. So no matter how long it takes, so we have our estimate now, no matter how long it takes, we do want our temperature to get up to 165 degrees, and that is internal temperature, okay? So I'm gonna show you two thermometers here, Holly. This one is a really fun one to use. It's an infrared kind of gun, point and shoot thermometer. This is not, okay, repeat it, not what we're going to be using when we're checking our turkey temperature, because this is only going to check that surface temperature. So it doesn't matter if the turkey is cooked on the outside. We want it to be cooked on the inside as well. Instead, I want everyone at home to use something like this. This is a probe thermometer. You can even get really fancy ones that hook up Bluetooth to your phone if you wanted to. And you're checking at the thickest points of the turkey. So get that thermometer in, get that internal temperature. Once it reaches 165 degrees, you're good to go. And that goes for your stuffing too. So a lot of people are stuffing their turkey. Check the stuffing as well, because it has all of those turkey juices. So we want everything to be at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit.
Is there, you know, some people say check it at the breast, some people say check it in the leg. Is there a better place to get to the internal part of the turkey?
So it depends on what your turkey looks like, but the thickest part. So if you're going to get right in there underneath the wing, right, where you want to make sure the heat has gotten there right next to the breast, and check it multiple places. You should not be checking just one spot on your turkey. Multiple places should come up to that temperature. And you also, you know, keep in mind, our ovens cook unevenly sometimes. Maybe they're broken. They're not getting up to the correct temperature. That's when you can use this infrared thermometer to check the heat on your oven to make sure it's getting to that point. I like to set my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, everyone has their own rules of thumb, their own opinions on what temperature your oven should be, but that's what I like to do with this one. And then I use my probe to check multiple spots on that turkey before I serve it. And then the most important part is let it sit. Once it reaches temperature, let it sit for about 20 minutes. Let those juices redistribute so you have a beautiful, succulent, moist turkey to serve to your guests.
Look, I'm really hungry. It's not even lunchtime, but this sounds terrific. Jessica DeLuise, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow for our next installment of 5 Days of Feasting. And if you want that recipe for that amazing brie appetizer, check out our website, scripsnews.com/feasting.